Well, good evening everybody. We've got the numbers just beginning to build up now, so we've got 10 showing, so it should hopefully get up to a few more, so I'll just say a few hellos. Hi to Jill and Grahame H and Caroline O. So welcome this evening. For those who are here and for those who have actually sent in questions, thanks very much appreciated. It's given us quite a nice few different things to do this evening, so hopefully it will be interesting even to those that probably don't have the relevant programs, but I'll explain that at the time. Good evening Tony and Sue and Bob. So a few popping up now. Funnily enough, the numbers are still the same. Just dropped down to 8 actually, so 2 have just remembered that they haven't got the biscuit and a cup of tea. Hi Jim. Jim's just popped up, so he's the star of the show next week, so he's got a week to think about it anyway, so he can get his head round it all. Hi Alan, pleased you could make it again. Yeah, we've got a good evening. Got quite a bit to do, and if we can get through it all, we've got a few pictures to look at as well, so yeah. Hope everybody's been coping well through this week again. At least we've got a little bit more freedom. Still got to be very careful, and of course, you know, we've got to be in the mind that I can't see we're going to get a meeting back at the club for a little while, but just say a few highs again. Hi Diva, welcome again this evening, and Caroline and Dave, welcome both of you. Yeah, so we've got a few people popping up now, so numbers are just going up a little bit, so we can look forward to a good night. Another couple just popped up for me. Hi Peter and hi Viv. How are you getting on with that camera? Hope you're getting on very well. And Doreen Cam's dropped in, so we're getting up there. We've got another 5 or 6 minutes yet, so we'll just pass a bit of time, and I'll have another slurp of me water. Michael's just popped up there. Hi Michael, welcome to another virtual meeting. And Doreen says Jan is watching, so hi Jan, really pleased you could make it. It's certainly a way that you can join in with us, and it's nice that you actually can, you know, other than just sending us in your images for the competitions, etc. We now, or you now, get to hear us and see a little bit of our work and what we do, etc., etc. So Yeah, it's good to have you all aboard. Another Michael just popped in. Hi Michael Hudston, welcome this evening, as welcome to you all. We've got the numbers just popping up slowly. We're up to 18 now, so as I say, we've still got 4 minutes to go, so probably get a few more in a short while. So just have a quick look. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I must admit, for our camera club members, I do quite a bit of judging over the years at Barton Camera Club, and Barton are just wondering what to do to keep the interest up in the club, and so I have invited them this evening to pop in and have a look at us and what we do. So if you see any other names that you're not used to, then it'll be good. I mean, it doesn't matter at these nights, it is a live event, so consequently if people have got an interest in what we're doing, then everybody's welcome to come along and watch and listen. So if there is anybody out there, because we've got more members or more people showing up than we have actual physical hour members, then do just sign in on the chat and say hi. It doesn't matter if you're not a member, you know, do just drop your name in there, and it's good for us all to say hi. Hi Neil. Neil's just popped in, so welcome Neil. Managed to get the time off work, so sounds like Grahame H and Neil's got a rendezvous on Saturday. So yeah, we've just got another couple of minutes coming up. Numbers on the blackboard here just tell me that it's 23. So Sean's just popped in. Hi Sean, welcome this evening to the bits and bobs that we've got to show you. Hi Mark. Mark's just popped in as well. Good evening all. Yes, good evening Mark. I must admit the questions that I've had from mainly, I must admit, the committee members, but the questions that I've had do take quite a bit of putting together to give you some sound, solid answers. But I must admit, as you all know, I sort of love and breathe photography, and I really enjoy putting these things together, because it not only putting it together for you, but even as a professional photographer, you know, I don't know everything, so by finding out the answers, if I don't know it, then it's good that I learn something out of it as well. So it is a good learning curve. Well, we're at 7 o'clock now, so I am going to start reading out the notices. We've not got a lot. Hi Susie, just see you popped in. Well, Doreen told me anyway, so just see that you're on there, and no doubt Nick's with you, so welcome to both of you. And as I say, I must say that well done to Nick for being in the last few in the competition recently, so as a new member, that was really good. So hi Paul, Paul's just popped in, so good evening Paul. Right, notices. To start with, monthly competition. Monthly competition this month is macro in the garden. We need that in your monthly competition folder by the 20th of the month. Don't forget. So that's the monthly competition, ongoing, macro in the garden, in the relevant folder in the monthly May folder for the 20th. Just a notice for a few people, we're all getting more proficient with software and with adding and taking away things in software, but what I'd just like to say is that if you enter any competition for the club or for the LPA, when you do, please make sure that if you add skies in, if you add, I don't know, if you add a dog into a picture or an aeroplane into a picture or whatever, please make sure that those elements that you put into the picture are your images. It must be that they have been taken by you. So yes, we appreciate that images are manipulated quite heavily nowadays, but after saying that, you know, make sure that they are your images that you've taken to put into competitions. The potty competition, photographer of the year, the club competition, farming through the seasons, the last images need to be in by midnight tonight. So today is the last day for putting your farming through the seasons images into your digital folder. So make sure that you get them in if you've forgotten. Last time, or your last chance is by this evening midnight. Hopefully on that one we've got the judge, who is Tony Holden, who is going to give us some scores and critique, and what we're hoping to do is to get those back in time so that I'll be showing you the images and reading out the judge's comments on the 28th of May. So that's the 28th of May. Hopefully we'll have the images. Jill will organise the images for me, and then we'll be showing those, and you'll be able to see them with a few comments from the judge. Right, we've got another little competition coming up. It's not until we don't want the images until the end of the month, the 31st, but another lockdown competition for you. We was going to have a competition in June, which is always called Cameras Alternatives competition. So what we've done for this year, because as I say, we're not going to be meeting for a while yet, so what we're going to do, I'm going to change that competition into Lockdown Cameras Alternative competition. So it's any image taken with anything else other than a camera. So no cameras allowed in this. This is a phone, iPod, iPad, tablets, etc, etc. So must be taken with something other than a camera. The competition will be judged by myself on the 4th of June, and the images must be in by Sunday the 31st of this month. So right, we're going to get going now. that's all the notices. I'm just having a quick look around my desk. No, that's all the notices. So we've had a few questions from mainly, as I say, the committee members, but we are looking to take up these questions, and I think most of them will be beneficial to you all. So we are going to move on, and we're going into a practical evening, and I hope that that's now started showing up for you, Michael. It should on the screen now be, or any minute, be practical evening 7th of May. So we shall go on. The first thing that I'm going to do is, a question was asked, what is the best camera memory card and why? I'm pleased that the question was two parts really, because it's very how can I put it, very complicated if you just said which is the best memory card. So here we've got the three memory cards. The one on the left there, you could buy that one, and I'll go to the writing in a minute, but you could buy the one on the left there for probably about, I don't know, £5 or £6 nowadays. Very cheap, very basic. Then you go to the next one across, which is the SDHC one, and one of those, they're the better ones, but still you could still get something like that for probably £20, £30 for a bigger size, but somewhere in that sort of region. Now the one on the right, the SDXC, it's much better card, and you're going to be paying goodish money for these. In all honesty, you could be paying anywhere. I got a 64 gig card at a higher megabits per second than this one. It was 170 megabits a second, and I've got some higher than that, but you're probably talking about £120 for them, so you do jump up. So the first one there, the Transcend one, is SD, which is just a plain secure digital, a basic card, as I say, low cost. The next one down, the number 2, secure digital high capacity, that's what the wording stands for. The secure digital extended capacity is the number 3. So they're all of different power, and they've all come in at a different time. So you know, it's not just that they've all been there all the time. Now I don't want you to get hung up on this next slide, but if you look at the slide, the left hand side, the speed class, it shows you how things have progressed as they've got better and bigger cards. So you started off with the basic speed classes, and you could get them in 2 megabyte. That was about all you could get for a start. They went up to 4 megabytes, then 6, and then the class 10 ones, which will tell you everything on the front in a minute, what it all stands for. And then basically the UHS speed class started to take over, and it started at a 10 megabits per second, and it's gradually going up and up. There's also a video class as well, and that started early on, and it started at a class 6, but now they go up to very, very fast cards which you, excuse me, which you need for things like 4K and even 8K now. So you are talking about a lot of money, etc. So that's the progression of the speed classes, etc., as they happen. Now you'll get another one in a minute, another slide, which will explain a bit more. So here's your card. When you look at it, you pick up a card and you just look at it, and you look at the price, and you say, hell, I don't want to pay 120, I better have one at 50. But you get what you're paying for. So all of these are now numbered, and the number one there, the 300 megabits per second, I've got some 300 megabits per second, and for a 64 gig 300 megabits per second card, you are looking probably in the region of 120 to 150 pounds. So that's and you'll see it in a short while, that's the write speed and the read speed of the card. Now, although that says MBs per second, don't take it that is also the write speed. When I say the write, that's how quick it writes to the card, your camera writes to the card. It could be 300 megabits per second as a read speed, but not necessarily as a write speed. Number two there is the type of the SD memory card. As we said on the last slide, this one's the SD extra capacity. So this one you can go up to, if I remember right off the top of my head, 1 terabyte. So you'd never need to buy another card again. You wouldn't need to if you'd paid all that money. Number three is the UHS bus speed. In other words, that's the speed that it will operate as per the last slide that we had, and it's all to do with speed of the card and how quickly after you pressing the shutter it will get onto that card and get ready for the next image. If you think about your camera when you've been taking pictures at some time and you finish taking the last picture on a constant press, you've probably taken about half a dozen pictures or so, and you look at the back of your camera to look at the picture and it won't allow you to because your red light's flashing. Well, that's usually because you've got a card with a very low MBS, megabits per second. You could possibly have one at 25 MBS, and it just can't write to the card quick enough because the card can't accept it. So as I say, you pay for what you get what you get. Number four there is the number 10. So nowadays all modern cards are 10. 10 means that it is acceptable as a video card as well. So if you've got a video camera, then you would also be able to use this card and it would perform excellently in a video player. So all modern cards start at 10 now. The number 3 there, that's 5, number 5, and it's got a 3 in a U. That's the UHS Speed Class 3. Now that equates to a minimum of 30 megabits per second that it will write at, not reading but writing. So it means that it could be, on this particular card, it could have a write speed of 200 megabits per second, but the minimum that it'll be is 30. And then finally number 6 there, 128, that's 128 gigabyte card. So that's just the capacity of the card. And as I say, possibility is it can go up to 2 terabyte on one of these cards like the one you're looking at there. Right, then you get into some more little bits of information. Don't worry about the ones at the bottom, the mini and the micro. We're just talking about the capacities really. Capacities, the SDSCs, they go up to about 2 gigabyte. The SDHCs, they go up to about 32. Then the SDXC, that's the extra capacity, go up to 2 terabyte. But then you look at that SDUC and you can go up to 128 terabyte. Now if you was buying one of those, well, let me put it this way, if anybody does go out to buy that one thinking, well, I've never need to actually take any off my card, I can leave everything on there, well, just let me know how much it is. The read mechanisms, standard cards, as you can see, if it's about 1 megabyte 2 gigabyte, then it's only reading at possibly 12.5, then 25, 104, 312, 624 and 985. So there's all the speeds. I don't want to get you too involved in that. That's just an explanation of what's what. Now the two cards, and dependent upon what you do and the shutter speed of your camera, if you buy the one in the white square there, the one on the left, this one here, then that one is a basic card. Now the basic card just has the one row of terminals. On the next level up, the ones that I use, they have two sets of terminals. The reason being that this is a much faster card, it's a newer card, and as such, if for instance some of our Olympus cameras that we've got now and the Panasonics etc., they take up to 60 frames a second. Now to get 60 frames a second pushed into that card, you have to have the two terminals to keep the camera going. If you had this card on the left, then yes, it would work, and yes, it would take the pictures, but you might be saying to yourself, well, I'm not getting the speed rate that I actually should be getting from the camera. Now it's not the camera's fault, it's your fault, unfortunately, because you didn't dig deep enough in the bottom of your pocket. These cards with the two layers of terminals, they are, sorry, of the posts, they are more expensive, so these are the sort that you need if you want the full capacity of your modern camera. So just to give you a bit of an insight into the best cards. Now whilst we're on this page, because I don't know whether there's another slide in a minute with anything else on, the other question was, what do I recommend? I recommend the SanDisk Extreme Pros. They are the better cards on the market. I'm not saying that there isn't other ones that are as good, but in my 16 years of being a professional photographer, I've had the CF cards, which are the bigger cards than the SDs, and those CF cards have run through right through the 16 years with me, and they are used and hammered every day. They're reformatted, they're dropped, they're everything. Now I've had 14 cards which I always work with, and out of 14 cards I've only ever had one fail. So you know, that's a really good thing for SanDisk in their in 16 years. Right, moving on a little bit. I've just mentioned the word formatting. Don't worry about what it says on the volume label here. It matters none. What I would say though is that this is one of the two ways that you want to clean your card once you've taken the images off your card. So when you put your images onto your hard drive, your computer, whatever, then some people just erase the images. What you need to do with your card on every occasion is to format the card. So make sure you format it in the camera preferred, but if you right click on the card itself, and I'll show you later, this will come up. You can find a line saying format, and this will come up, and you can format it outside of the camera as well. Sometimes though, as I say, it's better to do it in camera, because then you know it's formatted for that camera. So I've just seen a message come up from Doreen. Jill, please clarify, is the lockdown alt comp any pictures from today? Not really, not, because more than likely the ones that you've put in today are going to be from a camera. So the lockdown, it's the alternative camera competition, so it's got to be taken with anything but a camera. But if you've already taken a picture, then yeah, you know, if it's not with a camera, then you can put it in. Right, so that's that screen there. Moving on. Right, working out file sizes of images via properties, etc. Now on this, I'm just going to have to shut this screen down and open up what I want to show you. So we will be flicking backwards and forwards out of the slideshow and then coming back into it. So out we go. Shut that one down a second. Open up. Firstly, let's just open up a picture. I'll drag this across onto this screen. So if you've got your thumbnails that you're looking at, just viewing the little thumbnail images, taking any one, doesn't matter which one, instantly as you hover over it, you can see what file type it is. This is a JPEG file, the date it was taken, the time it was taken, the dimensions of the image, and the size of the image. That is as taken. So I'm just looking at the messages. I've let Jill answer that one, thankfully. So you've got the starts of knowing what size the image is there. Now if you want to go on further, if you right click the image, you will get this little box come up here, and it may be a little bit different if you're a Mac user, but it'll be similar. If you go to this properties tab, you then get a properties tab which gives you a bit more information. So now we've got where it's stored and the size of the image and the date it was taken on the first page. You've got a security page, so it says who can see it, etc, etc. Forget that one. The details page now gives you the information of the author of the image. Now that would depend upon you having put your information into your camera. If you didn't, I'm not sure, and I don't think it would show up if you haven't put your name in your camera, etc. So the date it was taken, again, mine, I have copyright on it, so in the metadata, because the metadata, this is all what they call metadata in the image, and it's all embedded in the back of the image, so it always stays with the image. It can be stripped out, but it is in the image. Tells you what color representation you took the image in. I always shoot in sRGB. It then comes on to tell you what the camera is, the camera model, the f-stop number, the exposure time 60th of a second, the ISO speed 800, no exposure bias, so that means I haven't just wound it up a bit brighter or a bit darker, the focal length of the lens, the maximum aperture of the lens, meaning it won't go below f4. It tells me the metering mode, center weighted average. It tells me there was no flash used, and then it just goes on to tell you what I had the camera on. I had it on aperture priority, saturation was normal, sharpness hard, manual, white balance, etc, etc, and you go down to a little bit more information here, and then you end up with it's open to everybody who wants to look at the image. So that's how you look at an image. So all you do is go over, hover over an image, right click, click properties, and it pops up for you. Okay, I'm going to put that back on the other screen for a minute because I might need it in a sec. So let's go on from current slide. So this that was working out the file sizes of images via properties, etc. Now I will show you again in a couple of programs how to do that. So do stick with us on a few things. Paul's put that highlight and command I for the same information on a Mac. Thanks for that, Paul. I have no idea on a Mac, so thanks for that, Paul. Right, the next one. Got an image in from someone who sent this in and said, could you explain and tell me what those rings are in the center? That's these rings here. So this bit here is flare. So what's happening, and if we look where the photographer was standing at the time, he stood where my arrow is at the bottom, not directly but in that direction. So consequently the sun is coming from the right, and what happens is the sun goes into the lens, hits the glass in the lens and bounces backwards and forwards in the elements of glass in the lens, and it produces these lines, these circles. So it's flare. It's not too hard to get rid of, but on a picture like this it is annoying, and it also does something else, which it makes the image, when you're shooting at this angle to the sun, it does also make the image very milky. You can see how it's got a milky overtone to it, and also it whites out the sky because you're shooting into the brighter area. So you know it does do more than just the one thing of putting the flare on there. If you wanted to get rid of this, you can do it with a bit of work in Photoshop, but you would have to do other work as well, because as I say, you've got no colour in the sky, everything's a bit too milky and blown out. So it does affect the way you shoot into the sun. It does affect the result that you get in the end result of the image. Right, moving on. External storage. Now I was asked what's my sort of thoughts on external storage ideas. Well, really, if you're putting everything onto your computer itself, your laptop or your computer, then you are basically bunging your computer up a bit. If you then start deleting the images on that file, then on that computer, then that system isn't deleting every little bit of information, and over a period of time your computer will save so much of those little fragments of information that it does cause a problem. Yes, you can sort your computer out, but there's not always that many people who know exactly how to sort it out. So I recommend Western Digital. Western Digital, once again, I've been using Western Digital for 16 years, and I've had one of the small ones pack up and one of the large ones pack up. But I mean, I'm talking of thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of images that have been on these hard drives, and so you know they they do last well. Some things to remember is what you buy is relevant to what you're taking pictures of. I've just seen Caroline's comment there. I need to defrag as soon as possible. If you've got your computer set up right, Caroline, it should be defragging itself every whenever it's been told. So, image size. If you look at your cameras nowadays, you're looking that the majority of them have roughly about a 20 megabit file. Now, some of the cameras now have where they're saving up to 40 megabit files. So if you didn't know, 1,000 megabytes equals 1 gigabyte. So it gives you at 20 megabyte just 50 images for a gigabyte. So you can soon start to fill up a hard drive when you start whacking images on at full size, especially if, like me, you take a raw image and you take a JPEG image. You're putting twice as much on then, and then there's 1,000 gigabytes equal 1 terabyte. So you're going to get about 50,000 images on a 1 terabyte hard drive. You'll see some pictures of them in a minute, but don't forget, when you save your images, it will in general be saved as a compressed file, JPEG. That's the JPEG images. Raw images are at full size. So we've got a demonstration to follow, but we'll go through these bits for a start. Western Digital MyBook, 3 terabyte, about £65, 14 terabyte, £263. Now, if you want your images to be 100% secure, then you can get these, once again, Western Digital plus many others that have multiple drives within one body. So you could have 3, 4 or 5 drives all in one body, and the way that it all works it out is that you will, even if one of the hard drives in the body packs up, you will never lose an image, because it puts them over all of them, so that you can then, when you replace the one drive that's packed up, it will put images back on that one, so that if another one packs up and so on, you will never lose images. But you are talking 500, 600, 700 pound. But it is a very secure way of keeping images. You can set them to auto, so that as soon as you switch your computer on and you put more images in, it just auto updates all your images, drags them off your computer and puts a copy onto the hard drive. Or you can do it manually. I must admit, I do mine manually, so you can do it that way. There is also a small one. I use both. I use the large one and I use this small Western Digital Passport. Now the passports are excellent for when you go on holiday. They'll plug into a tablet. Some phones will allow you to use one on a phone, but not all of them. They're not a lot cheaper, but they are much more handy when you go away, and they're 1 terabyte's about 52 quid, 5 terabytes 124. Same process as the larger MyBooks. You can do auto updates, etc. I know Jim has a couple of these small passport type hard drives on his desk. So next one is producing a canvas, adding shapes and filling Photoshop. So a bit of a demonstration for you. I was asked this question, how do you do certain things, and so we'll show you. I'm going to show you in Photoshop. you can do this, and I must admit, with what I'm saying tonight, the majority of your programs will do it, but you just need to look and convert what I'm doing into your program. So it's a similar process but not the same. So on Photoshop, you go up to the file, you click it, you go to new, and you wait for it to open. Let's try again. New, come on. So then you get a box that swiftly comes in from the left, and you have lots of sizes that you can choose from. You've got save sizes, photo sizes, print sizes, etc, etc. I never go beyond this screen. I just choose a size, and the reason being is because I'll show you something in a minute. This one, it says here 28 by 24.02. It says 24.02 because my large printer is a 24-inch printer, so that's the width of the printer. So I'm just going to choose any canvas, double click it, it opens you a canvas. Now a canvas is going to come in at the set colour that you've asked it to be. I asked this one to be white. You can do white, black or transparent where it's got no back to it. So once you've got this size, if you go up to image, canvas size, you can change the size of the canvas by changing it on here. Now if I wanted a 24-inch file, height in the canvas, then I could leave that and I can change 28. This isn't relative, so I haven't got relative clicked here. So if I do 14 and make it half the size, just click OK, it's going to say that the canvas size is smaller than what I've already got, so it just jumps into a size. If you say to yourself, well, I didn't want it that way on anyway, you can just go down and you can rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. So you've got a shape there now, which when you go back to image size, you can now see, when I go drag it across, you can now see that you've got an image size of 24 by 14. So just cancel that. So if you want to put shapes and make things in make shapes onto here, you can do them by getting this tool up here, which if we just click it, it's the rectangular mark, the elliptical mark, and then you've got two straight line ones, but we'll go for the square one or rectangular for a start. Now if you want a spot on square, then all you've got to do on the Windows system, on the PC system, is just to press shift, drag it down, and it'll be a dead square, a square. So you've got something that is spot on. Now if you just drag it out without holding that shift key, you can make any shape you want. So whether it's square, whatever it is, if you want to get rid of it, if you've made a mistake, just click outside of it and it disappears again. So I'll just put a little square in here and I'll make it a little square there. If you want to fill this square with a colour, all you've got to do is to choose your fill paint bucket option. I always just call it a fill option. Now as you can see over here, let me just see if I can show you there, it's just a little bucket, so it's going to pour colour into there. If you double click on these colours here, you'll bring up a palette, and in this palette you've got any colour that you want. If you know a specific colour that you want, then you can type that number into the bottom here. Black is all zeros, so you're always going to get black here because I clicked on the black originally. So if we want a nice goldeny colour, let's just push that up. So if we want a nice goldeny colour, you just choose that, and your bucket's now ready for filling in gold. Just click inside the square and you've got a nice square of that particular colour. If you then just go to select, deselect, that's taken the box off the outside. And by the way, if you've made any problems, if you come up to your history, which you should have open, you've got all of your actions here that you've done, and you can go back onto them. So that's an easy way of doing it. So if we wanted to do a circle, once again, if I want to do a circle which is overlapping this, if I just pull this circle out, make a nice circle somewhere about the same, if I get hold of it in the middle, I can move it to anywhere I want. So once again, if I want to fill this, and I'm not going to spend too much time, we've nearly finished on this one, just choose a red, any red. So go back to it, pick up your bucket again, fill the bucket, and it fills a square. Now as you saw there, when I filled the first bit, it was really saying, do you want just this bit filling to start with, or do you want the whole lot? So as you saw, I quickly clicked in here and then in here. So I'll go back one more. So we've got the circle here. Click there first, click there second, and it's fill the circle. The reason that it does this is because if you wanted a half moon shape in the corner of a square, and let me just select, whoops, we've just crashed. So let me, if you can still hear me, we are coming back online if you can still hear me. So sorry about that, folks, it just had a little hiccup. So let me just open up and see if I can get anything back. It will take a second or two. For some strange reason, I have no idea why it's done this. So let me just have a look elsewhere. And hi Dane, if you can hear me. Just having a few technical hitches at the moment. I'm not quite sure what the problem is. We will keep trying, and I will be back with you in as soon as I can. Let me try. Sorry to have gone quiet, folks, but it is just the technology is winning at the moment. Thank you, Paul. It's probably because I've got about 6 programs at the bottom here open. No, it's not going to play ball. Let me just try something on the other screen. No. Yeah, you can still see me in the bottom corner, but unfortunately, Bob, that's about all that'll work at the moment. Lightroom's not working. Oh, yeah, it's definitely thrown a wobbly. The technology's winning, I'm afraid. No idea why. Let me just try. No. What if you can still hear me, What I'm going to do is I think I'm going to have to go into an early break and try and get this sorted out. It's just not working at all. So let me just see. No. Let me just try one thing. See if switching the monitor off will make it any better. No. So right folks, what I'm going to do is, sorry for the inconvenience, but what we'll do is we'll go into an early break and I will see you back with some more little tips and techniques on Photoshop, Lightroom, Elements and Luminar 4 in a short while. I've also got another error come up, so yeah, I'm going to shut down for now, switch everything off, start again, and what we'll do is we'll start again at 10 past. So if you could all be back for 10 past, yeah, I see what you say, Ray, turn it off and start again. So yeah, I'll see you all at 10 past and hopefully